Hello, everyone. Just waiting for the script. There it is. Now I'm bright enough. Um, I've just been having fun with the. It asks for a picture for a thumbnail before I start, and I'm running out of ideas. I'm trying to find something funny to do before I come on, but apparently I'm not that funny. Okay. Who's joining me today? I'm about to pull a card from the Animal Spirit Guidebook. Let's hope all your bells go off. I've been up and about already. I've been working really hard this morning. I've actually got heaps done. And I went over and looked after my grandchildren for a very short time while my daughter took the eldest one back to school. It's really sad, isn't it, a lockdown? She doesn't like school at all, but she misses the kids. So her social activity is, she keeps asking if she can go and play with kids on the street. And Sarah said, well, she might as well go back to school if she's going to do that. So I went over and waited with the other children. I had a great time too. My two grandsons have lost their front teeth at the moment, and because they've been in lockdown, the one that was always thinner has gained a little bit of weight, and they are really hard to tell the difference at the moment. I have to wait till they speak because one talks really well and the other one's not quite as good a speaker. So, and Sarah said even she's had trouble telling them apart at the moment. Hey, Tammy, how you going? Yeah, even she's had trouble with them at the moment. So identical twins, they're pretty much the same. And at the moment, with no teeth at the front, really hard to tell the difference. Used to be easy because Aiden was really skinny and Evan was always a little bit more stocky and a shorter. And then Evan's sort of done a bit of a growth spurt, and now they're both back to the same height, but they just look exactly the same at the moment. It's a blast. They're so funny. So I was, playing with invisible spaceships and everything this morning. So all good, all good. It's nice to get away from home, really. It was really nice, actually, because the boys were in the backyard, and they wanted to show me something. So I went out the back, and Sarah's place is beautiful. The sun shines right on her backyard. Mine's all in the shade here. Okay. We have the card of the camel coming out, and I do think we've read the camel before, but I cannot remember what it tells us. So I'll see if I can find again. It's really beautiful getting to know these cards, though. I wish I could remember all of the cards I have, because that would be really cool, being able to. I mean, I can go by intuition, but I also like to read what the author has written. So this is about being resourceful, independent, and knowing oneself. Oh, that's beautiful. So the camel can handle absolutely anything as it carries a wealth of nourishment within. Nice. This wondrous creature is self-reliant and handles challenge with ease, even in the face of excess heat, judgment, or anger. The camel searches inside for the cool elixir of water to calm the situation. The camel represents the ultimate form of bringing opposites into balance, fire and water. And being responsible for one's own reactions. The camel is a wonderful traveller and is especially fond of trips to faraway lands. So am I. We can't go anywhere at the moment. I keep thinking it's going to be so long before we can travel overseas, and I love travelling. So this is about being calm, content, and having a sparkle in the eye. So that was pretty cute little reading for this morning. And it's very quiet on here today, so that's all good. I came on a little bit earlier because I had been busy since early this morning, so I thought I'd take my lunch break earlier today. So I'd say if you people are going to miss me, but I won't be on for too long. I'll read a card from the Wisdom of the Oracle. Okay, and I have the tribe. How nice is that? Look at that. That's us, guys. The tribe. Card 8. Card number 8. It'd be magical if I could just open the book every time and it would go to the page. Okay. This is about community, belonging, being seen and understood by others, like-minded connections, a sense of family and friendship, and knowing your place in the world. That's absolutely beautiful. This card signals a new affiliation with the group. Humans are social creatures and we need to know we are useful to our tribes, families, and communities. In a tribe, everyone has an important function and feels I matter. Membership in the group provides a sense of belonging or kinship and a purpose that comes from working together for the greatest fulfillment of all. Perhaps you are part of a spiritual community. Funny that. Right here with you, or an artistic one. Perhaps you are learning in a learning community where you share the love of education. Regardless of its form or focus, your community brings you joy. You will be inspired by it and want to contribute to it. Your contribution may be as small as showing up or as large as becoming its leader. No matter your position in the tribe, your presence is needed. Thanks, Tammy. I love it. I really do. I think it's just one of the best things I've ever done. Um, it took me so long to pluck up the courage just to get on YouTube, and now I sit here and feel very comfortable talking to you all. But it took me a long time to feel comfortable with even sort of showing my face on screen. So it's been quite interesting, the journey. But I feel so at home with you guys, and everybody's so lovely. And hey, Rebecca, how you going? Oh, it's the first time you've caught me live. How cool is that? And I don't know if the bell went off because some days the bell doesn't go off, and then people say that they didn't hear the bell, so they missed me. But anyway, I bet the weather's nice in Florida at this time of the year. I haven't been to Florida yet, and I've had a few people that I have spoken to on here who said if ever I come across, I've always got somewhere to stay, which is delightful. So I may get there one day. I've done a bit of the States. I've been lucky enough to travel Los Angeles, Las Vegas, and San Francisco, which was beautiful. I loved San Francisco. Well, I loved everywhere I went, actually. Las Vegas was pretty cool too. I did a lot of shopping there. They have really good outlets there, but I had a ball. And I love how we went into casinos to have a look around because they all have their own themes, and I was, like, fascinated by that. I don't know how many times we walked around the casinos and enjoyed the atmosphere and the little presentations or the little activities they do every hour or whatever it is. Oh, thank you, Rebecca. Oh my goodness. Please. Thank you so much. But it would be nothing without you guys, nothing at all. So please remember, that's what I said. We're a community. We're not. That's what we are. And I get on here every day, and I have different people every day, which is delightful. And I get to talk about all sorts of things, which is really nice. And as I said, I get just as much out of it. Sometimes I think it's a little sad that you're all so far away, because I always think it'd be really nice if you could just say, like we wouldn't at the moment anyway because of what's happening. Oh, you're in South Carolina. Oh my goodness, I'd love to get down that way. I think it would be lovely just to say, okay, I've rented a community hall down the road. Come on over, and I think it would be great to get together with you guys. Hey, Sherla, how are you going? Or somebody here from Holland. Wow, we have a nice little range of people here today. How are you going with the quarantines, or you guys? Are you managing? Are you still working? Are you still at home? How are you keeping yourself occupied? Yeah, I think the same, Rebecca. I love traveling. I'm one of those people who just goes, I'm going to go away for a couple of days, and I just hop in my car and go. I really enjoy it. I guess I love being at home, and I guess in some ways I'm a bit of a homebody, but if I'm at home, I tend to do stuff, or feel obligated to do stuff, and it's been a real challenge for me, especially now, not to feel like everything has to be, immaculate all the time, and I drive myself crazy. So, it would be nice just to hop in the car and go, but, the other day, so my daughter and I, we had a lot of, road trips, sort of when she got older and my other 2 children had left home. And we would just get in the car and go. We would just drive for miles, and I miss the road trips, just doing those sort of spontaneous. We'll get together. I promise I'll get there. I promise I'll get there. And when I do come to the States, what I'll do is I'll pinpoint a few places I'm going to be at, and then you guys can just see if you can get there. But we'll get there. And as I said, I've had people all over the world, which is amazing. Can you imagine people saying to me, "You've always got a place to stay if you come here"? Like, nobody knows me. I could be an axe murderer. Really? um, but I will get there. I know I will. It's already written in my stars. I can feel it. So I'll eventually get to many, many places and meet many of you. Hey, Sarah, how you going? No notification again. Wow. Hi, 19. How are you going? Did you hear my iPad say, oh, wow? Does it all the time. It just blows me away. It's on lock. I don't know how it talks. And if it's not that, my phone goes off here and talks back. It's not hard work for me, 19. Thank you so much for seeing it as hard work. It's not. It's my absolute pleasure to do that. And I'll keep going. I love doing it. I love doing the personal readings. I want to get more into things, and I'm just wrote a thing to work. I would like to give work up altogether, but I'm a little nervous of doing that. And I know Spirit keeps saying that I need to trust and just go for it. So I thought what I do, I wrote to work a couple of days ago and said, I want to cut back to part-time and just work a couple of days a week. I want to be able to do, I wanted, oh, well, there you go. Maybe you can come and visit me, Rebecca. New Zealand's stunning. Oh, I loved New Zealand. Stunning, stunning place, stunning people. And I wrote to work and said I want to work part-time, and nobody's got back to me yet. So obviously it's not that important. But if I can get back to part-time, then I want to start doing some more stuff online. Oh, that'd be really nice. Tell you what's on my bucket list, Rebecca. I want to go to Salem. I'd love to go to Salem. I want to go down south because my daughter went to St. Louis and all those places, and she ate all these amazing things. So I would really like to go down and do that. Oh, my boy died a couple of years ago, and he was 14, and it was the most distressing thing. It is really hard, isn't it, to put animals down? But we do it because we love them and we know they're suffering. When my dog died, I remember somebody saying, because I was like, I just don't feel 14 years was long enough with him. He was an incredible companion. And I remember somebody saying to me once, the reason that animals don't live as long as us is because that way we get to have the pleasure of many. Before I had my dog, I had 5 cats. So I went from 5 cats to 1 dog. And people say to me often, are you a cat or dog person? And I think I'm an anything person, any sort of animal. I love all animals, creatures, great and small. But I've got to tell you, my dog, and my heart goes out with you. My dog was really, really difficult when he died. He had been very sick for a few years. He had a heart murmur, and he was my friend, and I wasn't there when he passed. Which really made it difficult for me to come to terms with. My opinion on pets passing, you are going to really blow out because you're going to feel him around you often, which sort of blew me away too. I mean, obviously I work with Spirit a lot and I talk a lot, but Billy, I've nearly fallen over him so many times. He's always underfoot. So he never has gone from where I am. Now, when you're in the grief stage, you may not feel that so much, but a little bit after that, you are trying to, they're still around you. They don't go anywhere. Okay, talk on energy. My favorite subject. Okay, so I think I've said to many of you, I have been so grateful that I've been shown so many things from Spirit. Now, whether you have different beliefs on this, that's entirely up to you. For some people, they don't think spirits stay around. There's this sort of religious idea that they move on. So I don't want to sway the way you see things. But the way Spirit showed me many, many years ago was that we are all energy. and our energy goes into a physical body to come to the earth. So we are born into a human being at selection because we pick our families, we pick how we want to come out. Everything is we've picked beforehand. Now, I always had trouble trying to understand from a very young child, trying to understand why there were so many different religions, so many ways of thinking. And Spirit came to me and said, all of this is energy. It's all energy. We are all energy. Everything on the planet is energy. And what happens is we choose to come into a body, we choose to leave a body when we're ready. And the energy is still there. It doesn't go anywhere. It stays there. That's why when we communicate with Spirit, we can still contact people, whether they've passed over, a few months ago or whether they've passed over years ago. We can still contact. We can still sometimes I can tune in so well to things, people and animals that have passed, and sometimes I can tune in so incredibly well that I can describe and even say names. The energy doesn't go anywhere. It stays with you. And all you've got to do is understand that if you are grounded and tune in, you'll actually pick up on the energy yourself. So when I asked about all the religions, Spirit said to me, that's how we manifest what we want to believe. So if we manifest that we come from aliens, then that is our manifestation. That's where our energy goes, to show us that we belong. If we believe in a particular type of religion, then we manifest that particular type of religion. But all of these things and the way they showed me was just pure white energy. And it just forms the way that we need it to be. So you may not feel your dog straight away, but give it a few weeks till the grieving's gone and the pain's gone. And then you will start to feel him around you. You'll feel him jump on the bed. You'll feel him jump on your lap. Billy used to sit next to me in the car, and often I get in the car and I can feel his energy in the seat next to me. He's never gone anywhere. And my daughter still has often the same thing at her place too. So I'll tell you a little, there's a few people online. Let me just say a quick hello. They haven't gone anywhere. They're still with you. How are you, Carla? Hey, Joanne, how are you going? I'll tell you something beautiful that happened in the last few days. My children lost their father last year, and he died on my daughter's birthday, which was his favourite day. My daughter was born on Anzac Day. So for Australian people, you would understand it's the memorial of the people who went to war. And in Australia, the people go out and they celebrate by obviously drinking, but they play a game called Two Up. And my daughter was born on the day on Anzac Day. So she was always sort of special in that regard. And her father died on her birthday, and she was the one who found him. And it's not a sad story at all, because she was able to sit with him for some time until the coroner came to take his body away. Anyway, my daughter-in-law, my son's wife, had written to me a few days ago, and she said to me, they feel his energy around the house all the time. And I said, well, of course he's around. He hasn't gone anywhere. And she said to me, Max, one of my grandsons, talks to him all the time. So obviously Max is quite spiritually tuned in. Anyway, she sent me a photograph last night, right? So Max went into the bedroom and they'd given him a driver's license of their father for Max to look at. So Max, he's probably about 16 months old now, came out of the bedroom with the driver's license and he went, Poppy. So Gemma took the driver's license off him and said, yeah, that's Poppy, darling. And she looked down and the date on the driving license was the 3rd of May. That was yesterday. So they get messages through no matter what. They are still around you. Their energy doesn't go anywhere. Their physical body does. So the physical body goes, but the energy stays. The soul or the spirit, whatever you'd like to call it. So it did seem awful, Rebecca, at the time, but it was so funny. Their father had a very, very warped sense of humour, and I wonder sometimes if he didn't do it deliberately so nobody would forget about him, quite frankly. My daughter was was upset with him because he hadn't wished her a happy birthday. So we still chuckle and laugh about it now, but it's we've never really obviously everybody grieved. It was quite difficult, but at the end of the day, it sort of means that, you know, they're always going to remember that on their birthday. But my kids had such a, I mean, even though they grieved very, very heavily, they had such a good approach to the whole thing. So, oh, Rebecca, you're a kindred spirit. So, are you doing YouTube videos as well? You said that you are. Oh, okay, yeah. See, that's what I said. But sometimes we really taught. Okay, I don't want to get too heavily into this, but you know, I was brought up in a religious school for the first part of my life, very religious. We had an altar at school, like we did prayers, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, so I'm not a highly religious person. I'm extremely spiritual. So don't get me wrong, I have huge beliefs, but I'm not particularly a follower of religion. I think it's very restrictive. It's very, it singles people out. I can't I can't support a religion, for example, that doesn't support people's right to choose who they marry or who they love. I can't support a religion that, you know, breeds hatred or racism. I can't do that. It's just not in me. So spiritually, I'm very spiritual. And I was raised in I went to school, a Church of England school that was very, very religious. And we had prayers every day. So we went to school and we had prayers. And I grew up thinking that was just a really, was just really went against a lot of things that I understood as a child. So it went against a child's view. I couldn't quite work it out. I read the Bible, I did Bible study, I couldn't understand it at all, this religious view. But the one thing that they teach you sometimes is, you know, around things that scare children. So you're saying about, you know, death. We're sort of frightened about death when we first start out, and children especially, once they get to the age of understanding their own ego, you know, 13, 14, when they get past that stage of thinking they're invincible, death can be quite scary. And I can remember talking to my children lots of times about things they've been taught about death and the devil and all this sort of stuff. Oh. And I think sometimes, you know, it's not nice to lose somebody. It's not nice to lose a pet. It's not nice to lose a family member. All of those things cause us grief. But it's part of it. It's part of life. It's part of what we do. Nobody really wants to go because they still feel that they have so much to do on the planet. But actually, there's a strange sense of peace when people accept that they're dying. And I know I've been with a couple of people, and it's a really strange experience to see someone look so peaceful after they've struggled with illness. Very different. So, hey Haley, how are you going? And you're talking about your mother. So, you know, 19, I think it would have been incredibly special for your mother to know you were there too. And that's the really hard thing. You know, loss is just part of life, the same as birth is. And it is difficult to cope with that. Okay, so you're on the journey of to remove fear from the perception of death. Yeah, beautiful. You can tune into the energy of past loved ones. Some spirits, some of their energies are very strong. Like I said, sometimes when I tune into people, I can get the most in most accurate and incredible details from people. And other times they're a little bit less giving with detail or information. Oh, okay. I see. Well, if you want to have any guidance, Rebecca, please let me know. I'm more than happy to guide you. I guess the best thing I can give you around the spiritual work and the psychic work, if I were to say to anybody anything about this, is the best way to feel comfortable and learn is if you can get amongst other people so you can have that reinforcement. So, I think the hardest thing for us to do because of the I guess because it's such a fluid thing, is trusting our own intuition. But if you've got people who are learning with you or people around you, sometimes if you say or do something and you feel comfortable enough to talk about it, then very often you get the feedback you need to understand that those thoughts that you're getting through what you think is your imagination is actually what you're receiving from spirit. So, a lot of working psychically or becoming a medium is about sitting back and trusting that the messages you are getting through are true and real. Now, when you're sitting in front of somebody and giving them a reading, sometimes you could get pictures. It depends on how you receive. Okay, let's go back to that. So some people are clairvoyant, so that means they're all seeing, so they see spirit. Not that I haven't seen spirit, but my messages come through clairsentience or through feeling. So I somehow or another can feel them. I saw spirits a lot when I was a kid, but I think I blotted out a lot of that because I was so scared of it. So now I know they're there. I know I can feel them, and somehow or another I form an image. So very often they come in and I'll say to someone like, did they look like this or did they do this? Because I'm putting together the idea of what they look like so I can give value to the receiver. Um, and I think that the hard part is really trusting, because sometimes they don't show me something that's really obvious to the person sitting across the table to me. Yeah, claircognizant. Yeah. Um, yeah, the feelings and the knowing. Yeah. Um, and that's where some of us come from. Hey, Cherie, how you going? Um, so I think the hardest part is trusting that what you feel is real. And I mean, I could give you lots of little stories on that, but I'll sometimes I'm trying to think. I remember a woman saying to me once, she was talking about her family, and I said to her, Spirit is showing me a carton of milk. What does that mean to you? She said, oh, my husband's a dairy farmer. Sometimes that happens. Now, what I would have done in the beginning, I probably would have thought, why is someone showing me a carton of milk? That means nothing at all. And I would probably have ignored that. But what I found was, even if it made me sort of look a little bit odd at the time, there are times when I've said something and somebody's gone away and they've called me later or emailed me later and gone, I know what you were talking about now. At other times, I get clear, like I got a name from somebody that I read for not so long ago, and the person said to me, I don't know that name. And I said, that's fine. That's fine. Maybe you didn't know them. Maybe it was a pretty unusual name. Maybe you didn't know them. We'll just let it rest and you let me know. And then she came back later and said to me, oh, I went and did some research and I know who that person was now. So sometimes you have to just trust. You have to trust that although it may sound a bit convoluted and a bit silly sometimes, oh, I've got another good example. I had a guy who came for a reading, and he'd never had a reading before. And he was a little, some people are really sort of very scared to start off with readings and they don't relax real well. And sometimes it makes it hard to get into their energy. Anyway, I did the whole reading and I don't know what happened. I just seemed to miss the mark with him a few times. And at the end, I kept getting this guy coming in to me and showing me sausages. And I was like, I don't know what to say to this guy. Anyway, in the end, I said to him, look, I know that I'm not probably hitting the mark with everything. Do you know somebody who would be showing me sausages? And he was like, no, know nothing about sausages. And I went, oh, okay then. Anyway, this guy that was next to me was going, sausages, sausages, sausages. Okay. So I said to him, are you sure you don't know anybody who might have eaten or liked sausages or whatever? And he said, no. And I went, okay. Anyway, when we got to the end of the reading, I said to him, look, I'm really sorry. Have you, because I probably had a few minutes left, I always say to people, have you got any questions or, anything that I can answer for you before you go? And he said, well, my friend died last December. And he said, I was hoping you'd get in contact with him. And I said to him, tell me about your friend. And he said, oh, mate, he loved a good barbecue, but he liked steak. And I kept thinking this poor guy next to me was trying to show me sausages because it's so much easier for me to understand sausages are a barbecue item. If he'd have been showing me steak, I might not have realised. His friend had been with me the whole time, but because he was closed down, he'd never had a reading before. He was so closed down, he didn't understand how something might be more relatable if it was sausages. Very narrow thinking, which was fine. So I was able to give him messages at the end, but we could have really, if he'd have been a little bit more sort of open to the reading, we could have explored so much more. But it was interesting. I'm like, oh, this guy shoving sausages under my nose. And I'm like, why sausages? Well, you think about it. If somebody had come in with a bit of meat, I might not have understood that quite so well. Maybe I would have done. Maybe the other guy would have been more receptive too. But to me, sausages, obviously for me, the sausages were far more indicative of a barbecue than what a bit of steak was. But anyway, that's the sort of thing that you have to sometimes interpret. And sometimes I have no idea what they're showing me. If they're showing me images, I don't always do it, always understand. But if anybody sort of hang on a second. I can say some things, but I don't want to sort of share people's stories out because I may have read for some of you. So the connection is really hard sometimes, Cherie. It's sort of like you can see it. I know what spirit is trying to show me. I know what the person's trying to show me. Sometimes it's just a little bit off key. Other times I've said to people, do you own a black dog? Do you call it dog? And they've gone, yes. Like that sort of information, if people are open, if you're really open to the reading and really receptive, your energy just flows better and it's so much easier to read. But when you sort of close yourself down, and I've had people so closed, it's just been really difficult to get into their energy. And I can't read the people around you because they are in your energy, not mine. So if people are working and going into working with spirit, I would say to you, trust, even at the risk of maybe sounding a little odd by saying something out of the ordinary, at least trust it. Because if you trust it, a lot of the time people know exactly what you're talking about. And sometimes you may be off kilter a little bit, and that's fine. The reason I was saying that to you is because one of the first things I did when I first started really researching more the mediumship than the psychic ability, because I knew I had that, but I wanted to sort of really, and I knew that I could do the mediumship, but I wanted confidence, and I did a couple of like circles, and when you're with people who are really tuned in as well, I guess that's why witches operated in covens, because if you're with a lot of other people who are psychic, your psychic ability just goes through the roof. It just really bounces. So we were doing things. I went to a spiritual church and we were doing, we were putting articles in paper bags and reading them for people. But the thing is, when you're doing that, you're getting the feedback from people straight away. So it's really, really good to reinforce that the messages you're getting through from that particular item are real. So do that. If you get an opportunity to work with others, really try it, because then you will see that what you're seeing, feeling, thinking, whatever shape or clear form it comes to you, you'll be able to understand that you're receiving the messages properly. But anyway, reading people, you know what? I'm still not great with that. When I do it for people, because I'm working with people, I'm fabulous, but I get taken advantage of all the time. I shouldn't say that, not all the time. I have been taken advantage of. So sometimes I'm a bit more trusting and a bit more empathic than just reading. So understanding whether someone's being dishonest. Yes, sometimes you can really see it, but other times it's really hard. What are other people's thoughts on that? So, yeah, I get that, that you struggle with trusting and thinking it's not your ego. That's why you need to say it aloud. If the person who's sitting opposite you says, "I can't relate to that," or "That means nothing to me," I just say to them, "Well, we'll just pop that aside and we'll just move on to the next thing." But very often people come back and say, "That's exactly true." I mean, I said to this woman one time, "You're about to become a grandmother." And she said, "My children won't have children." And I said, "That's okay. I can see you becoming a grandmother here. Maybe I've got a wrong vibe coming through because there's a grandchild here." And she was so indignant. I think she thought I was just talking out of my backside. And she rang me a day later and she said, "My daughter's just told me she's pregnant." So it can come in all ways, shapes, and forms. I've had people sit in front of me sometimes and I can tell they're pregnant before they've even popped their bum in the chair. Sometimes they're very early in their pregnancy, but I can't tell you what my daughter has. When she has children, I can't tell what sex they're going to be or gender they're going to be. So I don't know. It's really funny. Yeah, Haley, it's very much about when you say digesting the information, it's very much about the person you're reading for, how broad their mind is too. Because if somebody's waiting for something in particular and they have their mind set on hearing a particular thing, and you're trying to tell them something that doesn't fit with what they think they want to hear, then it's very, very difficult to perhaps decipher what's happening. That's why I don't spend time on it. If I say something and someone says I can't relate to that, I put it aside. I don't keep going with it trying to get them to understand what I'm saying. I just say to them, "Okay, that's great. I might not have it right. Let's just park that and we'll move on." And I go forward, because sometimes people just don't quite see what it's supposed to be. And I've done it myself. I've gone away and gone, "Oh, now I get what they were trying to say." Um, yeah, see, you can feel the energy, but too afraid to allow yourself to see. I don't see spirits anymore at all. I only feel. And I have a theory that when I was a child, I got scared so many times, I think spirit just closed it down. Sometimes I see the image and the flash, and I know someone's there, and I can see that. And I have to also close that down at night time when I go to bed, because sometimes they'll come in and talk to me in my sleep, and that makes me sort of like jump out of a sleep wondering who's talking to me. So I can hear, I can put images together, but as for actually seeing a spirit per se, I don't. But sometimes I will see an image and know that someone is there. I can feel their energy. Hey Susan, how you going? Free coding star, hello. Yeah, so it's different for everybody. Everybody sees it differently. I've known people who see spirits and, actually see the spirit. I had a beautiful experience a few months ago where I had spirit in my glasses. I'd taken a photograph, a selfie, and you could see two people standing in my glasses. There was nobody in the room with me. There was no pictures around. So they're always there. You just have to sometimes catch them off guard. No, no, I've never been scared at all. I was as a child, um, and I often feel spirits sit on my bed at night. That's quite a common one for me, um, and I can feel the energies around. I used to find it a lot when I was doing fairs. I feel like the spirits come in before you're doing fairs quite a bit and sort of want to talk to you before you go, and sometimes, that they get quite persistent. You have to tell them to back off because they will keep at you, trying to get you to do something or say something, and that's not always good either. So you have to actually, yeah, sometimes you'll hear people call your name. Definitely, Sherla. I've had that before. Um, and when you accept it feels natural. Cherie, that's exactly right. It does. And I think that's what it's all about, isn't it? Because sometimes I've talked back and then gone, hang on a moment, there's nobody there. So, I mean, it changes for me all the time with different people, different spirits, different experiences. Um, and sometimes it's really, really clear. Because I've had a spirit tell me that someone's painted their bedroom a certain color and they like it. And I've said to the person, and this is someone that may even come on here. And I said to her, "Have you just painted your bedroom lilac?" And she said, "Yes." And I said, "Somebody's saying here they really like that color." So sometimes it's really, really accurate, and other times I'm scrambling to just work out what they're talking about. But it's a little odd in that regard. But now I just trust. If they say something to me, I just go, well, you know what? I'll just say it. And if it's not resonating with the person, that's fine. Maybe I've got the message wrong. That's all you can do. Yeah, the name thing, because Hayley said that too. So there's a few people here talking about hearing their name. That is the strangest feeling. I've heard it so clear sometimes, and and I'm like, who? And I really think it's somebody there. Like I actually think it is somebody there. And I've heard it, in a busy place, and I've heard it in a quiet place. And sometimes my name is very, very clear, and when I look, there's nobody there. So I don't know. That's just the energies going. But you're all capable of doing this. You're all capable of doing it. You just have to really embrace it, and you have to put in a little bit of energy to try and find out what is going to develop it more for you. Is it about, working with other people and allowing? This is why I wanted to sort of do some groups, because I thought if I could get just 8, 9, 10 of you into one room on a Zoom meeting or something, then you could do it for each other, and you would trust then the messages you're getting are true. And sometimes they're a little off center. Sometimes I've been told things and I think, that's not me at all. And I've not been able to put it together. But then I think, it's very possible they might be picking up on another energy around the place, because that does come with time. So, for example, I've read in places that have been quite busy, and when I've talked to other people later, I've been picking up on other energies in the room. So if two people come for a reading and say, "Can we sit together?" I just say to them, "I'm fine with that. But you have to understand, sometimes I'm going to pick up on the other person's energy." And that has happened to me before too. I read for a girl where I said to her, "You're going to have to take an AVO out on someone. I can see some issue or problem with this person, and it's going to probably put you in a position where you're going to have to go and take an AVO out." And she sort of looked at me really weirdly, and I was like, "That's okay. That's what I'm getting." And when she went away, she contacted me later and she said to me the girl that she was sitting with was threatened by someone and she had to take an AVO out on them. So sometimes you pick on the other person's energy. So I'm not always comfortable with having children or other people in the reading, because you do tend to sort of pick up on other energies. So no, I can read in a noisy room, doesn't worry me. Or once I'm in the zone, I am fine. Yeah, I think it would be really good, 19. And this is the whole idea of me saying at the very beginning, I've asked if I can go to part-time so I can start doing a few things with you guys online. And I would try and keep it at a very nominal cost, so it just covered doing what we need to be doing. And Hayley, yeah, we'll do it. We'll do it. I have made a start. See, I did get my Zoom thing out, and I did go into, oh my goodness, what's the other one where you can do the taping and everything too? So I've got a couple of them sorted. I'm just seeing which is the best medium to do it. The best medium. And then we'll start to do some things like that. And as I said, I'll try and keep the costs down nice and low so that everybody can participate, and it doesn't restrict you too much financially. The smelling things. Yeah, I smell often. I had one time when I was doing a fair, Port Macquarie, I think. I did a platform read, and the day before the platform read, I could smell someone around me smoking, and it was really strong. I could smell it on the air all the time, and very, very strong for about 24 hours before I went in to do the reading. And it was really, we had a group of people there, but I actually read for one of the other mediums. So it was her dad who was coming through. And when I started to describe him, we knew straight away. And once I'd read for her, the smell of smoke went. I didn't have that again. So perfumes, I smell my grandmother often because my grandmother loved carnations, roses, those other red things. What are they called? I can't remember the name of them. And I smell her often around me. usually when I'm not looking after myself, and she's telling me I need to look after myself better, but she's always around. Um, but yeah, there's some of the things I have in mind for doing when we go forward. A lot of people have asked me about reading tarot cards as well. So hopefully I can do some, Vimeo. That's what I was going to say. I'm looking at Vimeo to do some lessons so that you can actually um, have things to watch that you can watch more than once. So those are things on my radar. I am getting around to doing them while I'm working full time. It's sort of is, and I've been online for 45 minutes. It is a little hard to do at the moment. Once I have a bit more time on my hands, gardenias. Oh my God, I love gardenias. And eat your vegetables. Yep, eat your vegetables and fruit, she used to say to me all the time. And yeah, you smell cigars. Patreon. You think Patreon's better, Rebecca? Because what I want to do is like take things like, especially the tarot stuff, so that I can always offer them to people rather than, do live classes for tarot. But the mediumship and the psychic stuff, I would really like to do that. So I have people live, but I don't want to have big groups of people. I'm thinking of limiting to about 8 or 10 because then everybody gets an opportunity to share with each other and have the safety of a small room. So, yep, those are the sort of things I'm looking at. So I will get there, I promise. And I know that that's something I need to do in amongst all the other things I need to do. But if I can cut back a little bit on work and still manage financially, then I'll be more than happy to try and do some stuff. Oh, you hear your mum. You smell, feel, and hear your mum. Yeah, it's beautiful. Yeah, my grandmother, I always think my grandmother was just the most amazing person. I spent a lot of time with her as a child because my family was sort of always experienced problems. So I was sort of always shipped off to my grandmother, and it was no problem for me whatsoever. She was absolutely beautiful. I love the smell of gardenia too. It's one of my favorites. And the magnolia, which the gardenia magnolia smell, oh my goodness, that's heavenly. It gives me a headache, but I don't care. I still love the smell of it. And I've had gardenia oils quite a lot. And somebody told me that gardenia oil is the basis for a lot of perfume, which I didn't know either. Yes, I think that's funny you should say that, Cherie. It was always fruit and vegetables, always fruit and vegetables. And I'm pretty good with vegetables now. I don't still like fruit and vegetables. If I didn't have to eat them, I'd eat chocolate instead, but that's okay. I do eat them because I know they're good for me. Yeah, so there's a few people who are interested there. So once I get around to it, what I might do is try and keep your names separately. I think I'm pretty up on those people who've said that they would be interested, and make sure you go through first. Oh, there you go. Oh, I should start reading you bedtime stories. That's so beautiful. I did read a couple of poems yesterday. Um, and oh, I love one of my favorite music operas, musicals, whatever, is Phantom of the Opera. And this morning when I was doing the readings, they started singing in my ear. And I thought it was really cool. So I did mention to you with the reading, because it felt like it meant something to someone. But I love lots of things. Have such broad taste, but I just love the Phantom of the Opera, and I watched it again. They've been doing these things on the television where you listened to it, did you? It's beautiful. They're doing this thing on YouTube at the moment where you can actually have, That's All I Ask of You, where they actually have have you seen them? You can actually watch the full production. Um, You're gonna claim it, T.S. That's really beautiful. But it's just such a beautiful song, and all the music in that musical I love anyway, but That's All I Ask of You is just it's such a potent song for me. But anyway, it was quite interesting. Beautiful readings again this morning. They are a little bit different at the moment, but then as I said this morning, I've stopped watching a lot of YouTube readings because we're getting a lot of the same information. And I think, so I just watch a few a day, one or two. because they're all coming through with the same information. So when people are asking about, the twin flame relationships and things like that, um, you're giving me so many beautiful compliments here. I get too big-headed and I won't be able to get out of the room. I oh, what can I say? I'm a complete romantic too. Um, you watch those videos sometimes and you just get lost in a dream state, and I think, yeah, it's all very well to be in a dream state, but then I hear someone's stories and I think, there is this beautiful romance out there and things do happen. It just so long in between drinks. That's all I can say. Um, oh, wow, you guys have just got some beautiful comments for me at the moment. I only channel those messages. I only channel them. Like, as much as it's beautiful to get all the compliments, all I do is just bring those words and messages through to you. And um, yeah, there's lots of readings the same at the moment, Sarah. Is that what Sherry, put that in your dating profile? What, that's all I ask of you? Being a romantic, yeah. Um, it's been a long time since I got back on and did dating. I'm just been a bit out of the loop of it for the moment. It just takes such a lot of work, and that's what I was saying to you yesterday. That whole interview process. Going through the first bits of trying to get to know someone and finding out whether someone's on the same page as you. And you know what? You guys would all be the same. Once you've opened up spiritually, you find you meet a lot of people who are really closed off and not really interested, or they actually poo-poo it. And, and I feel that's really important for me to know that someone else has similar views, similar ethics to me. And that's a tough one. I thank you. Thank you, Hayley. But yeah, we don't give up on love, do we? We know it will be there for us one day. Seems to be a lot at the moment in the readings, so hopefully you guys are going to have some good news for me. I have a beautiful woman I read for, and a while back I said to her, "You're going to meet someone," and she said to me, "Oh, I never go out." And I went, "Well, someone here for you. I can see them." "No, I've never got any chance of meeting someone." And I said, "Well, okay then." Guess what? She just met someone, so I'm waiting for the update on it. But she wrote to me and said, "I can't believe it. I can't believe that I met this person." I'm not going to give the story away. I'll ask her permission first to say what happened. But I believe if love is going to find you, it finds a way. Absolutely, 100%. So I better get back to work. I've now been nearly an hour on here. So I've been really now, Rebecca. Okay, let's you and I talk. Hey, Jenny Mac, how you going? Rebecca, your love life is not shit. Don't say that. What you have to say is, my love life is about to awaken for me, come in for me. Someone is there. Whatever, but not it's shit. Don't do that to yourself. What did I save you from, a blind date? Oh, thank you. Oh, that's beautiful, Riley. Thank you. I really love you guys too. You bring me so much joy. And you know what? As I said the other day, this at the moment when things are so unknown to us, when we're sort of in this little bit of a, I don't know, wavy time, unusual time. What do you compare it to? I've never been in a time like this. But this sort of instability, this weirdness that we're currently experiencing, it is really hard to, to stay positive and focused because we don't have a lot of people to talk to. As I said to you, I spent time with my grandsons this morning with invisible spaceships, and I was so like, I just love it. I really do. It just is, having that contact with others. We don't realize sometimes how important it is. And it's nice to have you guys on here to have a chit chat with and really enjoy. And I love all your feedback, all of your comments, your funny stuff. Um, my name is Yvonne, not Aussie. Somebody called me the Aussie Goddess when I was young, and it's always been something I've thought of as a nickname. So I that's why I called my channel the Aussie Goddess, because of the fact that it just was quite a funny thing this person said to me, really, and I thought that's really cool. I'll stay with that. Thank you. Oh, beautiful. Joanne, much love to you. Much love to all of you guys. I've got to go. I've got to go back to work. I will try and catch you all tomorrow. Please, if you want something to chit chat about, just let me know what you want to talk about. I always have personal readings, Tammy. You only have to contact me. I realized this the other day, and I thought, I don't really sort of push myself or promote myself. I just let things just sort of unfold as they will. Okay, so when I'm doing readings, I can do, and I love to do Skype and I love to do by phone, because then I get to hear you and sort of I feel like I'm really spending time with you. But the one thing I've really loved doing for people over the last year and a half while I've had my channel is doing the YouTube readings. So I do one that's only 15 minutes, and I charge $40 Australian for that, because that means that most people can afford to do that, or a half an hour YouTube reading. I don't go any longer than that on a YouTube reading, because half an hour goes really, really quickly, especially if people have more than one conversation. Hey, Kavitha from India. Wow. We have Holland everywhere on the line today. It's beautiful. Thank you. Thanks, Jules. So I do a 15-minute YouTube reading. Now I do a half an hour YouTube reading. Now the 15-minute one's really good for one particular thing. So if you're going to ask about career and love, I can't really get you good detail for both on a 15-minute reading. But if you want direction in love, 15 minutes is enough. And I talk fast and I get things done the same as I do when I'm doing a daily reading. If you want more than one area covered, then you'd have to go for a half an hour one, because I can't get deep enough on a 15 minutes. So with the half an hour reading, I usually say to people, do you have any questions or a bit of direction for me? So I keep really, it's like when I do readings at the fairs. If you can give me a direction, then I can focus on that and I don't go all over the place. Otherwise, I'm listening to all the messages coming through. If you want a Skype reading, phone reading, I can do WhatsApp too if you're in another country. For a half an hour reading is $70 Australian. For an hour reading is 120 Australian. I've kept my prices pretty much the same for quite some time. I put them up last year and I've kept them the same. An hour, I guess we fit quite a lot in that time. I've been recently doing a few more healings online. I've only done Reiki, a little bit of Reiki. I've got like level 1 Reiki, but I don't do it with the Reiki really so much as intuitively. So I've started doing healings now as well. Mediumship, of course, if you prefer to sort of stay with mediumship within the reading, then we can do that too. So Skype's cool because I get to see you and I get to really enjoy your company, and that's cool. But the readings, no matter how I do the readings will resonate anyway, so it doesn't really matter, because sometimes people say, well, can you read me on the phone? Yeah, I can still get your energy on the phone. I can still get your energy through a YouTube link as well. I'm always open to questions afterwards. So if something comes up for that reading that you don't understand, I'm happy for you to email me later and I can clarify for you. So I do fairs, although the fairs are a no-go at the moment. Last year I did fairs nearly every weekend and it really got me run down. So I decided to, hey, Queen of Water, how you going? No, they're Australian dollars, Susan. So you'd have to, somebody said I'm worth every cent. All these compliments. Whatever you want, what you can do is if you want a particular reading, write to me and tell me what you want. And then I'll write back and give you the options. Now, if you're overseas, sometimes it's a little hard to get the timing right. And if you're somewhere where you're 17 hours difference. Sometimes I have to do that on a weekend because it's too hard to align the times. If you're in Australia, no problem at all. I do a lot of readings in the evenings, and the YouTube ones I can do at any time, so they're no problem at all. But if we're trying to line up Skype, phone, WhatsApp, then what I usually do is ask where you're from, give you some, or you can tell me what your restrictions are in terms of the times, and then I'll try and work out when's the best time. See, Cherie just said, yes, it's lovely, isn't it? Because you sort of, when you're on the screen with someone, there's just something very intimate in having a personal reading on Skype or Messenger, or on Zoom. I've done some on Zoom as well. So just depends on what medium people want. The only thing is I haven't quite worked out Zoom yet. So if people want Zoom, I get them to send me a request. So because I'm still learning that one. What else was I going to say? Yeah, so if you write to me and you tell me what you want, half an hour reading. I live in, I don't know, Germany. Some places have more than one time zone, but I know America and Canada have a lot of them. But if you can let me know roughly where you are, even if you're in Australia, sometimes we're on different time zones here in Australia. Let me know that. Let me know if you want a half an hour, whether it's by Skype or by WhatsApp or phone, whether you'd prefer to have a reading on YouTube that you can go back and watch again. The thing is with Skype, unless you keep your phone next to you, you can't always tape it. And I have a lot of people who take notes, and I know a few people on here who take notes. Where do I live? I'm in New South Wales, Wollongong, New South Wales, Australia. Which is a long way for many of you there, being we have India and Holland, especially online, America, and yeah, you're 11 o'clock. Wow. All right, I better let you go to bed. All right, guys, I'm going. Much love to you all. I'll see you tomorrow, roughly the same time, I think, maybe a little bit later. Take care, look after yourselves. And if you do think of something you want to chat about, just flick it up on the screen. It seems that I'm going, oh, thank you. That's beautiful. Thank you. Please let me know what you want to chat about. I don't have any problem talking about anything. And if it helps you in some way, shape, or form, I'm more than happy. Oh, that's beautiful, Queen of Water. Thank you. I know that some of you on there have had readings from me, so. But it is nice to have readings sort of face to face, but all the others are just as effective. I was going to say something then. Bedtime stories. So I might have to find a bedtime story to read you. All right, much love. Take care. Mwah, and I'll see you tomorrow.